Hello and welcome. He was called a messenger to mankind when he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1986. For half a century, this humanitarian fought off the horrors of his past to promote peace, atonement and human dignity. This week on One, meet author and activist Elie Wiesel. Life began peacefully for the young Elie Wiesel in his small Eastern European hometown. But that changed in 1944 when the Nazis deported his family to the Auschwitz concentration camp and later sent him on the Buchenwald death march. He survived the Holocaust and remained silent until his dramatically revealing book told all. Today, he and his wife run the Elie Wiesel Foundation for Humanity, bringing together leaders from all over the world in open dialogue. The Nobel laureate's also passionately involved in bringing attention to international crises, such as the devastation of Darfur. For Wiesel, even approaching 80, the fight for justice is not over. Elie Wiesel, great to talk with you.
Thank you.
Now, a lot of people say you were the first, perhaps one of the first, to use the term Holocaust, and you're regularly described as a Holocaust survivor. I wonder, to what extent does that limit what you can do? You're always having that label, that perhaps it doesn't give you full justice for the other accomplishments you have.
Well, I don't care for labels, really, but I think I'm one of the first, really, but I'm not so happy about it. It's not a good word, but there are no words. Unfortunately, the enemy has managed to push his crimes beyond the limits of language. Does it limit my scope? No. I'm a professor. I'm a writer. I see myself as a witness because of the event itself. It's not me, because of the event is so horrendous. And it goes beyond any scope of human intelligence and human endeavor, that it sticks.
Let me ask you if you know, how you regard the situation between Israelis and Palestinians now. It seems that's in a stagnation, and of course that's something that has to be fixed.
In June, His Majesty King Abdullah and I organized a conference in Petra for Nobel laureates, and we had 25 Nobel laureates. And then we brought together for the first time Prime Minister Olmert and President Mahmoud Abbas, and it was good. It was really good. And they hugged each other, and it was hopeful. We left high, really. It was a moment of great promise. And then came Hezbollah and destroyed all that. Nevertheless, I believe the solution must be a two-state solution, living not only in security, but with respect and in dignity with each other, almost for each other. It will happen, because there is no other way.
One thing that comes with being a high-profile activist and someone who is outspoken as yourself is criticism. So how do you handle that when you have, you know, your peers, sometimes very notable peers like Noam Chomsky and so on, who say, you know, he hasn't got it right, or he's only on one side, he doesn't speak up for the Palestinians?
I don't speak up. I speak up for peace, naturally. I've never spoken for war or for violence, and surely not for terrorism. I've devoted many years of my life organizing conferences called Anatomy of Hate. What is hate? I'm against hatred. Believe me, whatever they say about me is nothing.
You were born in a small town, Sighet, in what was Romania. I'm just wondering what your childhood was like in the lead up to the Troubles. I mean, before it all happened, before the signs of troubles occurred.
My father had a grocery store, and my mother and everybody in the family worked for him, with him, but I studied. My life was a religious life. I studied what we call then cheder or yeshiva, meaning in elementary school and then high school, but always within the religious texts. And my whole youth really was devoted to study. And my passion for study is to this day what keeps me really strong and going.
Now, your father, Shlomo, was something of an activist himself. He helped the Polish Jews who'd fled into Hungary as well, for example. What lessons did you learn from him?
To be involved. He would take us really in the afternoon, or the Sabbath afternoon, always. He went to prison to visit prisoners. My sister went to see the sick in the hospitals. And I was chosen for some reason to bring food and fruit and whatever I had to inmates of a mental institution. And since then, my obsession with madness really has dominated many of my writings.
Your mother also, Sarah, was, I think, a strong influence. What particular lessons did you learn from her?
Oh, warmth, kindness. She was a mother. And it's almost hard for me to speak about her. There are two persons I cannot speak because I'm afraid of breaking down. It's my mother and my little sister. Because the moment we arrived in 1944, they went straight to the gas chamber.
Now, I want to ask about that turning point when you, as a family, living in that small town, quite removed from what was happening to other Jews, when was the turning point? You were about 15. When did you realize things were going wrong? There was a lot of denial, wasn't there, at the time?
We didn't know, really. Nobody told us. We didn't know. I write about it in my memoirs. When we arrived in Auschwitz, we didn't know what it meant. Auschwitz, we didn't know. Had we known, we could have really gone into hiding. We had a maid, a marvelous maid, a Christian woman. She was illiterate, but she brought honor to Christianity. And she offered us really her hut in the mountains. Had we known, many of us would have gone into hiding in the mountains, but we didn't know. So the turning point really came the night of our arrival, the very first night, when we saw the flames. And the inmates who were there to receive us.
So it wasn't even when you were actually taken from your home, but it was actually when you arrived at the camps?
In the camps. And we saw the flames. But that moment marked my life because that was the separation. The last time I saw my mother, my little sister, my grandmother.
It was your sister Zipporah?
Zipporah.
Oh, yeah. I was fascinated to read how you said so many of the Jews in the concentration camps didn't really think that this was necessarily wrong, that they thought that they were actually being punished for something they had done that was wrong.
Some very religious fanatics, only fanatics can say that. I rebel against this kind of theology, really. What could children have done wrong? 1.5 million Jewish children were killed. What wrong could they have done? No, I cannot believe, really, that God, the God of our fathers and forefathers, could want so many children. For what? No. But there were some fanatics, of course, believed it. To this day, they say, whatever happens is because we did it. Katrina, we did it. It's our sins. No. I cannot imagine the sins that could have justified or provoked or even explained so much pain.
You were separated from your mother and your 3 sisters, and as you say, your mother and sister Zipporah were sent away straight to the gas chamber. You lost track of the other 2 sisters for a while, but you were with your father for a while in the camp and actually worked together on the labor camps. Just take me through what happened to him, because tragically he actually passed away just before the liberation.
A few weeks before, when Auschwitz was evacuated, there was a death march, and we went on that march, and then we went by train, open wagons in the snow to Buchenwald. And that was a few days later. He couldn't take it. He died of dysentery.
And exhaustion.
Exhaustion, yes.
I gather the last word he spoke was your name.
My name. I heard his name, and I was afraid of. We were in the same barrack. He was on the 3rd level. I was on the first level, and because I was afraid of being beaten, I didn't go to him.
How was it that you and your 2 sisters did eventually get reunited?
By accident. We came to France. I thought after the war that nobody remained. I checked lists of survivors. I didn't find anybody. I went to an orphanage, and journalists came. I had no idea who they were, and I was playing chess, and they took pictures. And the next day or so, I was in the office of the director. I heard him speak French. I didn't know French yet. Now all my books are written in French. At that time, not a single word. And I asked for a certain book. I thought he spoke about the book. No, he said, I just spoke to your sister. My sister Hilda saw my picture on the paper. Otherwise, it would have taken years for us to be united. And since then, I have a very soft spot for journalists. That's why I became a journalist.
Tell me about that reunion with your sisters. Because they had you'd been through so much, and a lot of catching up to do.
What is remarkable, really, now I think about it, that neither I nor they spoke about our experiences. To this day, B died, but Hilda is still alive. And we never spoke about it, simply out of fear that we would break down.
You did go back to Auschwitz to visit. In fact, you went relatively recently, I think, with Oprah Winfrey, the American TV show host. What effect does it have on you when you go back? Has it passed in terms?
No, on the contrary, when I go there, what I seek is a zone of silence.
Do you think there's any point, and there will be any turning point in your life when you will be able to be free of the ghost of Auschwitz?
I don't want to. It doesn't stop me from working, from teaching, surely not, from studying, from trying to help others, and even from being happy. I have a son, I have a wife, a son, and a grandson, and when I'm with children, I'm happy. I sing. Someone in me is dancing, although I don't know how to dance, but it's dancing. I'm unhappy when I see somebody who is not, and I cannot help him. Then I'm unhappy.
Well, Elie Wiesel, we have many more questions for you. Don't go away. We're speaking with Elie Wiesel. We'll be back with One on One in just a moment.